Out of all the videos that I'm trying to put out this week, this is probably my favorite one to do just because we get an opportunity to watch Marcus Peters play for the second week in a row, obviously, but see him play a little bit more consistently, if you ask me. I'm not sure the percentage of snaps that he played. I know against the Dolphins it was around 50%. What we're going to do, to be honest with you, is we're going to watch some plays where he's not targeted. So we'll watch his coverage, and then we're also going to watch the impact that other receivers had on some of our other DBs versus how they were defended extremely well, in my opinion, by Marcus Peters when he went up against him. A lot of man stuff when Peters was on the field. I think he's excellent in zone. The interception late in the game obviously occurs in zone. It's a huge moment for the Ravens, if you ask me, going into the Bills game in Week 4, having Marcus Peters, Marcus Williams, and Marlon Humphrey all on the field, all healthy together, is a huge development. Marcus Williams is a safety, so he's not the same player as Jimmy Smith. But if you think back to when we played our best defense, we generally had 3 high-level DBs on the field, who, regardless of what you think about our free safety, 2019 and Chuck Clark and Earl Thomas and all that stuff, we had 3 high-level DBs. In my opinion, we now have that. What we need is we need one of our other guys to really step up and be consistent and be able to provide us with that third coverage option so Marcus Williams can roam, can sometimes drop down, can sometimes play free safety, middle of the field free safety, sometimes play half field safety. So let's get into some of the film. This is going to be the first play of the game. Peters, we know, is generally going to be on our left-hand side. I think he's matched up against Nelson Aguilar, I believe. And you can see, that's not Aguilar, forgive me. You can see that him and Humphrey kind of run into each other trying to navigate this, outside release stutter, post by the number 1 receiver, and then this wheel by the number 2. And you see that Humphrey and Peters kind of run into each other. Simultaneous to that, the other side of the field, obviously we know JAD gets beat, pretty badly by Parker, coming across the field for a huge gain. I do think that sometimes when we're getting these in-breaking posts and stuff, not a dig, that sometimes Peters and all of our outside corners seem to be releasing the guy to the free safeties. And I'm not sure if we're doing that by design, to be honest with you, meaning we're trying to encourage the quarterback to throw that. I'm not sure because it looks like man to me. And generally, if it's man, you're not trying to give him anything. But there are some situations, I think, where we're trying to allow them to throw the football into the teeth of our defense. All right, this is a sack by Queen. This is one of the things that Mike McDonald played a lot of at Michigan that I saw. I didn't really like it. It's like a cover 2, 4 deep, or 4 under, 2 deep look. So you have JAD and Peters underneath, Houston dropping, and then what looks like Chuck Clark in the middle of the field. We do get the sack from Queen. One thing you notice about Marcus Peters is like he's always physical. Like him and Marlon, they're not going to compromise their physicality just because they're past 5 yards, and I love it. That's football, is trying to impose your will on the other team. This was early in the game, obviously. We know we had trouble defending the pass, as the game got on, besides just that first play. This one, he is actually defending Nelson Aguilar. Press man, pretty good coverage if you ask me. And again, you see that as the receiver kind of breaks towards the middle of the field, there's times where there is separation. Now, it does look like Marcus just loses contact with him here. It is 2 deep crossers, one from the right-hand side of the field, one from the left. And once again, Parker beats JAD pretty badly. JAD takes a pretty severe angle in terms of being, once he gets here, he's going to go really super flat, and then the ball is going to be thrown, further downfield. So, yeah, you don't know what route the receiver is running, but you would rather give up the underneath route. And in this case, it seems pretty obvious to me that this isn't, a route that he's bringing down here towards the sideline at all. This is one that's going to get a little bit more vertical, a little bit more depth. You can see it's caught on the 40. So we're doing a little bit of a comparison here, to be honest with you. I did this in the Marlon Humphrey video. So now I think we have Peters on Parker, the same guy that I just showed you, are really separating from JAD as he crossed the field. We got Stevens on the field, essentially replacing JAD. And look at the coverage that Peters gives Parker. I think it's pretty good. They're getting tangled up. Again, he's going to make contact with people, and he kind of doesn't care. He's not going to change. I don't think he would change if he had 2 or 3 illegal contacts downfield called on him. He just wouldn't change, and I love that. This is a completion to Nelson Aguilar. Again, similar route to what I just showed you, running across the field, originating from the right side. Marlon is in trail, a little bit behind the play. And our underneath coverage, Owe dropping out into the flats is just too flat. We're not getting enough depth with our underneath droppers. Now, granted, it is 3rd and 3, so I understand the sticks, the yard to go is right here. But this ball is going to be thrown over the top. The underneath coverage is not able to play any role in this whatsoever. That's one of the things that happens when you're dropping people out who are not typically dropped out in coverage. They're going to have trouble getting the correct depth sometimes. Okay, up top here, again, by comparison, there is Peters on Parker. This ends up being the scramble by Mac Jones in the second half for a touchdown, where he does this stupid little dance. Pretty good coverage, if you ask me, up at the top, which is what we're focusing on. I think this bodes well for the future for us. Marcus Peters, being able to lock up good receivers when they line up to his side of the field. Are we one elite corner short? It will kind of appear so. I'm really interested to see what Pepe can bring to the table. I think that there's some athletic limitations to Brandon Stevens, even though he plays hard. This is what might be our best cover threesome in terms of Marcus Peters to the top on the left, Pepe Williams in the slot down bottom, and then Marlon, who appears to get beat a little bit on the turn down here at all the way to the bottom of the screen. Again, going to be physical. He looks healthy to me. He looks healthier and more confident in himself in moving around. I believe, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, that Marcus Peters had the fumble recovery that I think I'm getting ready to show you. Then he had a forced fumble on what is essentially the next last play of the game. And then, of course, he had the interception on what is essentially the last play of the game in terms of defensively. This is a beautiful play by Kyle Hamilton. Not enough has been said about this. We're dropping him down into the coverage, and he's just reading the quarterback. We appear to be just straight man up here. And, yeah, we're going to get another big play against one of our rookie corners. I think Pepe challenges it. And then a great play by our rookie first-round pick, knocking this ball out of there. And I still have no idea how Marcus Peters recovers this right after he was dealing with Parker. Let's check out his coverage on Parker, by the way, down here at the bottom of the screen. Pretty good. Again, maintaining that outside shoulder leverage. So basically, if Parker wants to bring this back into the middle of the field, Peters knows that he has help. So you see he's sitting on the outside shoulder here. He thinks that's where the route's going to go anyway. I love the way he plays this. It's very similar to the way Marlon will play it. And then the last play of the game, we know that karma, dictated this because there should have been a holding call, and it was obvious. Ended up not being a holding call. Kendrick Bourne fumbled. I think it was forced by Marcus Peters, by the way. And then the very next play after that was this interception. To me, this looks like, Peters knows the game is over. He's playing a very loose, off technique. We're up 37-26 at this point, and it looks like he understands that we're going to get one. Still interesting coverage to me. Looks like man there. Looks like man there. We got man here, man. Peters is just playing really off and kind of, I'm not sure how he knows. It's almost like he knows something. He knows that, he's going to get a pick, or he knows the ball is going to be overthrown. You'll get the end zone angle here. Unfortunately, you'll see the hit on Mac Jones that injured him. And Marcus Peters is just Johnny on the spot, as usual. This is, I don't know how many interceptions they said he has. Is it 35, 37 in his career? He shows no signs of slowing, if you ask me. Fumble recovery, a forced fumble that I think I recall. I'm not sure if they ruled it a fumble recovery. And then the interception there. Like, if we get Marcus Peters back to 100% and he can give us that type of impact with the way that Marlon Humphrey is playing, I understand that this is not a popular statement, but I think we'll be fine pass coverage-wise. If those guys return to 100%, they can play, the majority of the snaps in a given game. We've got a lot of rookies that are getting a shot out there besides J.A.D., Pepe Williams, and Kyle Hamilton. Not even to mention the rookies that are getting a shot on the offense with Daniel Falele and Tyler Linderbaum. Let me know what you guys think of Marcus Peters' play. I thought he took a step from that Miami game to the New England game, and we're going to need him to maybe take another, or at least match this level of play against Buffalo, because we're going to be threatened. If you're in my Patreon or Discord, I did put up 3 Buffalo Bills possessions today that basically show how explosive they are. It's 2 of their first 3 possessions against the Dolphins last week where they just marched right downfield, and then 1 of their possessions against the Rams. And watching that this morning, we're going to need all of our coverage element to be tight. We're going to need all of our coverage element to be aligned. And I think Marcus Peters is a big part of that. Huge development, him having the confidence to play press man, if you ask me. I think, that depends on matchup. He's not going to play press man against Tyreek Hill. We know that. No one is, really. If you're pressing Tyreek Hill, it's probably to play trail man because you have safety help over the top. But the way that Marcus Peters was covering, the way he was staying on the correct, what I think is the correct leverage side, I referred to it as him, kind of not allowing the post to be completed, but allowing the quarterback to throw the post because he knows he has help there. And I think that's why it's important for Marcus Williams to be in the middle of the field a little bit more often than he has been. He's very good about spinning down and playing at the second level, don't get me wrong. I just think that he offers us way more at middle of the field free safety than Kyle Hamilton does at this point, at least from the film that I've seen. Certainly we have a lot of names back there in the defensive backfield, and Peters and Humphrey and Williams are the 3 biggest. I do liken them to that 2019 group, even though the comparison breaks down a little bit, because Jimmy Smith was a corner and obviously not a safety. That cerebral, savvy, aware player who understands it only takes 1 play to change the game. I think we have 3 of them in Peters, Williams, and Humphrey, and it's a whole hell of a lot of fun to watch for me. Let me know what you think of my breakdown of Peters' play. What you think? Where do you think he looks percentage-wise? I thought after the Miami game, I said 85%. This looks closer to 95% for me. Maybe there's not that speed burst that we've seen at certain times. It seems like he gets a speed burst when he gets a pick 6. It seems like he runs his fastest for at least 20 yards anyway when he gets a pick 6. I don't know why that is. Anyway, appreciate you guys checking out the video. Let me know what you think of the film that I've put out today. I will have a couple more videos out tonight. Late tonight, hopefully a video comes out on Josh Bynes, one of my favorite Ravens, and how I think he really had a big impact in the game that's gone unnoticed. Appreciate you guys' time. If you enjoy this video, please consider sharing it on social media to help it get more exposure and reach.